All right, so this next section is one of the most interesting topics that I've often thought about on my journey, often thought about while I was stocking shelves and trying to think about the nature of the universe. And it's this idea of Plato's cave. Plato had this idea where he described the philosopher's journey, how the teacher and the student, how they see reality and these different things. I take that concept and I expand on it, and I shift it and change it to kind of meet the teaching that I'm trying to impart on everybody. And so it's based on Plato's cave, but if you know the story, the allegory of Plato's cave, it's not the exact version. It kind of goes like this for my version. Think about yourself, imagine yourself sitting in a cave. You're sitting in a dark cave, and there's a wall in front of you. And on the wall is a glowing orange light. There's glowing orange light. There's shadows on the wall moving around, and you have no idea what the shadows are, what's making the shadows, where they're coming from, what they are. And you look down at your hands, and your hands are chained together. They're bound. You look down, and your legs are chained together. You're bound. You look over, and you see a family member or a friend or a few of them down the line to your right, down the line to your left. And everybody's chained together, and they're individually chained to the floor. You can't move, but you exist in this cave. You exist with these shadows on the wall, not knowing who's there, but afraid, trying to understand, like, what are they? Are they here to hurt us? What are they doing? But they're just shadows on the wall moving around. And you start to think to yourself, what are the shadows? Who are they? What are they doing? Where are they from? Do they have a purpose? What is their intention? How were they created? Why are they even here? You start thinking to yourself, you start pondering questions while everybody else is talking. Everybody else down the line is talking to your left and to your right, distracting themselves. They know the shadows are on the walls, but they're ignoring them. They're distracted, talking amongst themselves. And this is your reality. This is your reality, being chained together, being chained to the floor, chained together, unable to move, only being able to face straight forward at this wall or talk to each other. This is your reality. And everybody accepts that as their reality because you're alive, you're living. This is just what you know. This is how you live. You just sit here each and every day and you face this wall. That is your life, and it's been accepted. But you get this idea in your mind for some reason. You have no idea no idea why. You get this idea in your mind that something's off, something's different. You want to know more. You want to know more. You start talking to the others. They don't want to know more. They're like, ignore it. We don't want to know about the shadows on the wall. They've always been there. But why would you want to know more? Why would you want to go talk to them or try to figure out the answers to your questions? So you're looking around the ground and you see a rock, and you pick up the rock in your hand and you look at your chains and you start smashing the rock against your chains. It's not long before you break your chains. You break your chains and you're like, oh, I can move around more. I can get up, I can stand. I can walk forward. So you walk forward and everybody looks at you and they're like, don't do it, don't do it. They're begging you not to do it. They're begging you not to go forward because something bad is going to happen. They're begging you, don't do it. Please don't do it. And you go up to the wall and you put your hand out and you realize it's a wall. It's solid. The shadows pass over your hands, nothing happens. Everybody else is yelling at you to turn back, come back, get back in, put your chains back on. We don't want you to cause us harm too. But you've broken your chains. You've stood up. You've gone out. You've touched the wall. You've realized the shadows don't mean you any harm. And then, here's where it gets really interesting. You turn around. Now remember, everybody was forced to face this wall. They didn't have a choice. They had to face the wall. That was their reality, their life. They were chained, so they could only face the wall or talk to each other. They couldn't see anything else. You turn around and you see a glowing light in the distance. A glowing light, and it's changing, it's shifting. There's different colors. There's oranges, yellows, blues, and greens. All these different colors coming from it. You see this glowing light. And you're curious. You're like, what is that? Now you can move around freely. You figured out the wall was there. You figured out the wall wasn't anything harmful and that there were shadows moving across it. And then you see this glowing light and you realize the shadows are coming from that glowing light. So you get up, and while everybody's screaming and yelling at you to stop, to sit back down, something dangerous is going to happen. You're going to hurt them all. You're going to create chaos for them. You're going to hurt them. God's wrath is going to come down and destroy you. Those types of things. You go, well, the wall didn't hurt me. So you take some steps forward, and you take some steps forward to the line, and you're standing back in your spot, and you're still there. You're still safe. You're still moving along, but everybody's still screaming at you. And then you take another step forward and another step forward, and you realize everything's okay. You're still safe. You're still there. Everything's still okay. But everybody's still yelling at you. God's wrath is going to come down. Meanwhile, they can't see you anymore. You've stepped out of their reality. You have literally stepped out of any reality they even know. They could see you before. They can't see you now. You're behind them. They don't know anything about what's behind them. They just know that what's in front of them, the cave wall and the shadows on the wall. But now you're outside their reality. And the farther you step forward, the more their voice is quiet. You can hear them still shouting, come back, come back, come back, don't do this. God's going to hurt us. You're going to bring us chaos. Stop this. You're crazy. This isn't real. There's nothing back there. You're just messing with us. Saying all kinds of things to distract you and bring you back. But you keep walking forward, and you get to the center, and you realize it's a fire. It's a fire in the middle of the cave. Orange flames, yellow flames, tiny blue, green, and whites in the middle, in the center of the flames. You see this, it's fire. You realize the shadows weren't even creatures. They weren't beasts. They weren't evil. They weren't anything. They were just shadows of the flames coming up and shining shadows of everybody, casting them on the wall. You know, really their own shadows. And so you're like, huh. And you're standing there looking around. You're like, wow, I'm safe. I'm still here. I now know the truth of the wall, the truth of the shadows, the truth of the fire that exists. And you're looking around, and you can hear those people in the distance, your family and friends shouting and shouting for you to come, but they're faint. They're a lot fainter. Now you hear the roar of this fire in the middle of the cavern. But when you look up and you look beyond the fire, you see a tunnel. And at the end of the tunnel is a light. And you kind of nervously step forward, and you're like, what's that? There's a light there. What is that? Huh. Well, I investigated this far. Why don't I investigate further? So you step forward, and you start putting the fire behind you. It starts to disappear behind you. And now the voices are really quiet. You can barely hear them anymore. Barely hear them. And you're stepping forward through the tunnel, and you're like, wait a second. And you turn around and you run back. You run back to the other people, and you start telling them, look, there's a fire there. There's something beyond it. We have to check this out. The wall isn't what it seems. The shadows are our own shadows, and the shadows of flames and things. They're not there to harm us. But we need to all break our chains and step outside, step out beyond that, step beyond our reality, turn around and understand everything's safe. We can learn more about this. What's actually going on? That's the question. They all fight and argue with you. They try to bring you down, try to call you crazy, try to say God's going to hurt them or chaos is coming because of this. Try to do anything to keep you and put you back in your spot. You say no. You step beyond their reality again. You step beyond the fire. You go down the tunnel. As you go down the tunnel, you get closer and closer, and this light at the end of the tunnel grows larger and larger and larger and larger. until finally you turn around and you can't see the fire anymore. It's just a pinprick in the distance. Can't even hear the voices anymore. But you can see this big window of light, and there's stuff beyond it, but it's really bright light. It's unlike the fire, unlike the orange flames. It's really bright, clear white light, blinding almost blinding. And you step forward, and then the ground begins to change. It's no longer rock. You're no longer in a cave. You look down, and for the first time ever, you see something, and it's something you've never seen. It's earth. It's dirt. There's dirt on the ground. The cave floor is mixing with dirt, but you don't know it's dirt. You've never seen dirt before. You've never seen ground cover before. You start to see little grasses popping up. You take another step forward. The blinding light hurting your eyes because you've never seen this light before. You've always been in the darkness and the pale glow of the fire. So your eyes take a while to adjust, and as they're adjusting, you start to see the shadows of giant things lifting into the sky, the shadows of fluffy things on the ground. And as your eyes adjust, you start to get the images of what is really there. There are bushes. There are trees reaching into the sky. Trees with greens you've never seen, colors you've never experienced before because you've been in a cave with primarily orange, yellow coloring from the glow of the fire. It's colors you've never seen. You see flowers of every color of the rainbow, but you don't even know what a rainbow is. You just know that these things look beautiful. You've never seen them before. Where did these colors come from? Where did these things come from? What are they? What are the bushes? What are the bushes? You don't even know what to call them. You don't have a word for them. You don't have a word for them because you've never seen a bush. You've never seen a tree. You've never seen grass. You've never seen dirt. And you're stunned. You're looking at this reality. You stepped through multiple realities. You left the reality you were in to touch the wall, to create a new reality for yourself. You turned around, stepped out of that reality to find the truth of the fire. Beyond that, to find the entrance of the cave. The entrance of the cave has trees, bushes. You see something move by. It's a bird. You don't know what a bird is. You're just stunned. You're looking. You're like, oh, what is that? It's alive. It's moving. It doesn't look anything like me. I've never seen this before. Something jumps out of the bushes. It scares you. You jump back. You jump back afraid because you're like, what's going on? What is that? It came at me. It jumped through the bush. It came at me. And you step back into the cave for safety because that's your safety. That's what you know. So you step back into the darkness and you wait. And it jumps and it hops and it keeps coming forward. It's coming towards the cave. It's coming towards you. And you're afraid. You think it's going to kill you. It keeps coming towards you. You think it's going to kill you. You think it's going to hurt you. All the stories were true. There are things out here. There are things moving around, things moving through the sky. How can something even move through the sky? How does that happen? There are things moving around. It appeared out of nowhere. It came through this bush. The bush, a thing you have no word for, no understanding of. It came through and now it's jumping and hopping towards you. And you're like, what are those? Those look like big ears. It looks like a snout on it. It's fat. It's heavy. But it's small. But you don't know what it is. It might hurt you. It might kill you. So you step back to safety and you start to observe. And it jumps around. But then you realize it's not coming for you. It's jumping through the grass. It's eating the green, the plant, the things that you don't have names for. It's eating all this stuff. And you let your fear settle. You let your fear settle more and settle more. And then you take a step forward and it doesn't jump at you. It just keeps eating. Take a step forward. It doesn't jump anymore. Take a step forward. You're back in the light. You see more of the things flying around. You're paying attention to this other beast that's on the ground. What is this beast? You don't know it's a rabbit. You didn't know what rabbits were. You don't know rabbits aren't harmful. But there's a rabbit standing there. Scared the hell out of you. Jumped through the bushes. Jumped at you. Just doing its thing, being natural. So you stepped back into your old reality of the darkness for safety, stepped back towards your old reality to try and be safe. And you go out and you're like, okay, well, I was safe. It's not doing anything. I'm okay. And you start to explore more. And you realize there's this whole world of things you don't know about. There's this whole reality of truth you didn't know about. And you didn't know about any of it because you were chained, looking at a wall of shadows and lights. And you didn't know the truth of anything. Even if you stepped forward from your reality, all you knew is that all you could find out was that there was a wall and there were shadows. And you could realize, yeah, the shadows are there. They don't mean us harm. But you don't realize the truth of the reality because that's not the truth of it. The truth is, as you turn around, it was the fire creating the shadows and the light against the wall, and that you've been chained and facing and forced to see something without knowing what was behind you, without knowing what was creating everything. And then beyond the fire, you see another light. And then you turn around at the entrance of the cave and you realize there's a whole nother reality, that even though you knew the fire existed, you could think that your reality was a cave, but it's not. Your reality was you are in a cave, chained, looking forward at a wall, when there's a whole world outside of the cave. There's a whole nother level of reality and existence. That is the whole idea of this journey. Learning to wake up, learning to question everything, learning to question all of your surroundings and go, what is this? What am I experiencing? What am I being told? What am I seeing? What are people telling me? Is that the truth? Or am I being forced to face a cavern wall with shadows on it? Or have I broken those chains and realized that the shadows aren't really the truth and the light on the wall isn't the truth? Or have you gone further? Have you not only broken the chains and begun to question things? Have you begun to step forward, to take steps, to take action, to not listen to those telling you not to go forward, to not listen to those trying to keep you facing the wall? Have you done all that? Have you stepped out of their reality to find the truth that the fire exists, that the fire is the true creator of those shadows, of the light on the wall? And then have you questioned the fire and went, okay, I'm going to take steps forward again, and I'm going to figure out what's the truth of the fire, and find a whole nother world around you, that you were trapped in a cave, and that there are layers to the reality that have been hidden from you. Layers, and a lot of it creating fear because of these stories of the shadows on the wall, and gods are going to be angry, and the shadows on the wall, they're going to come for you, so don't try to understand them, leave them alone. Just live, face the wall, talk to each other. That's what we know, that's our reality. But you take the steps forward, you do the spiritual journey, you do the spiritual work, and you wake up. You realize the world's a lie. You realize everything around you has been manipulated in history books and news media, Hollywood, politicians, whoever it is. You realize there's a lot of lying and manipulation. And you start to go, wow, this is the wall. These are the shadows on the wall. What's the truth of that? What is the fire creating that? And then you realize the fire creating that, the politicians, the news media, Hollywood, the religious leaders, they're the fire. They're the ones creating the shadows. They're the ones keeping you chained. And then you step beyond the fire and you realize, wow, there's a whole nother world out there. A whole nother world where you can be free, where there's beautiful colors and there's rabbits and birds and bushes and trees and things you didn't even know of. And in our experience, that's ETs, angels, Sasquatch, faeries, upper realms, lower realms, gargoyles, dragons, unicorns, all these different beings, other planets, other dimensions, inner earth, upper earth, sky realms, all this stuff. You realize all of this is real. All of this is the real reality, the truth of reality, truth of the universe. You've stepped out of the control of the cave. You can always go back. That's the thing. You can always step back into the cave. You can always turn around and walk straight past the fire, sit right back down, and put your chains on and bind yourself straight to the ground again, facing the wall. That choice is yours, but you will always live in that reality, knowing what makes the shadows on the wall, what makes the light on the wall, knowing it was the fire, knowing that you're in a cavern, that you're trapped in a cavern, and knowing there's something beautiful beyond. It's your choice. It's a very, very important thing to understand, that it is your choice. That you have the choice to see the world in the truth of reality in the universe. And you can always shift back and go back into the cave. Or you can be like myself and others, where we stand outside of the cave. We learn as much as we can about the outside world and the truth of reality. Then we walk back into the cave and deliver the information. But we never put the chains back on. We don't allow them to manipulate what we see or what we hear. We come, we deliver the experiences, the truth. We turn right back around and we head right back out, because that is not our reality. But our reality is the outside world, the trees, the bushes, the animals. Think about that. That's your exercise for today. Think about that scenario. Think about how that scenario applies to your life. Think about how you will apply that scenario in the future of your life. And understand this idea of people who fight against you when you're going on a spiritual journey, they're chained. The fact that you're watching this video means you've taken that rock. You've taken that rock and you've hit your chains several times, minimum several times. You're probably putting your hand on the wall at the least, seeing the shadows for what they are. And as you do this work, you're going to shatter your chains and you're going to be unleashed. You're going to be unleashed on the world. Your spirit will be unleashed, as is the title of this course and my book. Your spirit will be unleashed to understand the truth of the universe as it applies to you. And you will be unleashed to explore the universe, unleashed to learn more about it, unleashed to discover the truth of your spirit, and unleashed to have the choice to walk back in and sit back down if you want to. You can pretend your chains aren't broken if you want to ignore all the truths of the world. Some of them aren't the prettiest things, especially when you start to understand the lies and manipulation and stuff. Some of them are very difficult to deal with as we wake, and I'll talk about that in other courses and things. But you are now unleashed to be free and to make the choice of whether or not you want to continue forward with knowing the truth, or staying in comfort, warmth, and staring at a wall while blindly letting the world operate behind you. That's today's lesson. That's today's lecture, class. Think about that let that stew in your mind. It's something I think about often. And it's a great exercise just to sit down and go, am I seeing shadows on a wall? Do I know there's shadows on a wall? And what's actually creating them, and what's behind that? What's beyond? And always questioning, always questioning. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for taking this course. If you have any questions, let me know. You all have my deepest gratitude, and we will continue with the next lesson about, are your senses lying to you, next.